Have you ever thought that some moments in history change everything, even if nobody realizes it at first? In an anime world, that moment is a pirate standing on an execution platform. In the real world, it's a man sitting in front of a screen, typing a few lines of code and pressing enter. Today we want to tell the same story set in two different worlds, the world of Gol D. Roger and the world of Satoshi Nakamoto. Because in the end they're talking about the same thing, the beginning of a new era. Oh, I think I'm a little out of time with this outfit and also a little out of place. I'll fix it right away. I'm on my upgrade. Don't blink. Okay, I feel better now. Let's move on. Gol D. Roger, the Pirate King, is captured. The Marines bring him in front of a huge crowd, convinced they are about to close the age of pirates forever, as if the sea could simply end because they want it to. But Roger, instead of falling apart, smiles, and with a few words he flips the world. His words are not a confession, not a plea for mercy, not even a last shout toward the sky. They are something simpler, and for that reason, even more dangerous. My treasure, it's yours if you want it, go find it. It's not just an invitation to steal some treasure gold, it's a declaration of freedom. It's as if he says, the system you knew is over. Now the world is open and the treasure is for whoever dares to move first. Those words don't explain what the treasure really is, or where it's hidden, or how long it will take to reach it. He leaves them empty, like an ocean without a map. And it's exactly in that emptiness that the true value lies. Not in the throne that is abandoned, but in the courage to set sail toward the unknown. Roger doesn't say how to reach the treasure. He doesn't point out the route. He doesn't warn about the monsters. He just leaves a silent question, rising from the sea up into the eyes of every person in the crowd. What will you do with this freedom? Many years later, in another world but with the same spirit, another mysterious figure appears, Satoshi Nakamoto. He's not a character from a manga, but a real, almost legendary figure. Nobody really knows who he is or how many people are behind that name, or what happened afterwards. And that's exactly what makes him similar to Roger. A man who disappears just as the world begins to finally understand what he has done. Satoshi doesn't climb onto a scaffold. There's no crowd staring at him with hatred or admiration. He doesn't raise a treasure chest in front of anyone. Instead, he publishes a technical document, the Bitcoin white paper. The dense, almost cold text, but full of a warm promise. There's a way to have a monetary system that doesn't go through banks, through governments, through central controls. And then, on January 3rd, 2009, he launches the so-called Genesis block, the first block of the blockchain. It's not a spectacle. There's no countdown, no sirens, no stage. It's a line of code saved on the network, a symbolic transaction, a tiny piece of history that slots into time. And yet, from that moment, the world changes. Because that block is the foundation of a system that doesn't need a central brain, doesn't need permission, doesn't need a government to approve every move. Satoshi doesn't say, I give you control. He just says, the system is here. Use it. He doesn't define good or bad. He doesn't explain everything. He doesn't spell out rules for every possible situation. He leaves it open, like the sea after Roger's words. And so, if we put Roger and Satoshi face to face, what do we see? Two different images, but with the same inner reflection. Roger closes his era with a sentence that opens the grand line to a new generation of pirates. Satoshi opens a new era with an action that places a system on the network. A system that any free person can use without asking permission from anyone. Roger lights the age of pirates, maps, open seas, treasure hunts, the captain's law. Flags flying over a world that no longer wants to be controlled. Satoshi lights the age of decentralized digital money, blockchain, peer-to-peer, private keys. No central controller, no recognizable master. Both leave the world without explaining everything. They don't dictate rules in every detail. They don't say who's good and who's bad, who's right and who's wrong. They only leave one thing, an open world and a question that vibrates in silence. Are you a spectator, or one of those who sets out to search? And maybe right here lies the true treasure. Because Roger's treasure is not just a pile of gold hidden somewhere, it's the freedom to sail, the chance to write your own story. To challenge the world that already exists. It's the awareness that rules aren't carved forever in stone, but can be rewritten every time someone has the courage to lift the anchor. In the same way, Satoshi's treasure is not only the price of Bitcoin, not only the possibility of getting rich before everyone else, it's the possibility of having personal control over your money, of having a system that cannot be erased by a single government, of building a form of trust that doesn't go through banks but through shared code. The real value, then, is not in reaching the destination. It's not in being the first to touch the golden treasure or in selling the first batch of Bitcoin. The real value is in the courage to set out when the world still thinks the sea is already explored, that the game is already over, that the treasure is just some old idea. Here's what happens at this moment. The world begins to understand that the treasure announced by Roger and the system launched by Satoshi are talking about the same thing. A new era. A new possibility to move, to choose, to build on emptiness. And you, while listening to these words, you are inside this moment. If one day someone tells your story, will you be remembered as the spectator who watched the sea from the harbor, hands in his pockets, repeating that the Grand Line had already been explored? Or will you be one of those pirates who put a foot first on the new land, even though they didn't yet know exactly what they would find? This is only the first chapter of a new series, the birth of a new era. Today we talked about Roger and Satoshi, about the treasure announced and the system launched into the void, about two different worlds but equally pirate-like. Disclaimer and transparency. The script is original and handwritten by me. The digital avatar is my personal creation. My content is not financial advice nor investment solicitation. Study and always do your own research before investing.